there are 50% of adults who go to work every day who are not happy about what they do when they get there. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean that they hate all of their job, but statistics show only about 30 to 40% of their job do they really get in the groove for. That other 60 or 70%, not so much. So, what we want to talk about today is living happier at work something that just comes to you because you get a great job, or is it a skill that you have to work at? Now, as you can see, the cover of the book, she doesn't look very happy, huh? Unless you're one of the ones who doesn't have a job, which is a totally different workshop, you really want to find out what is it about happiness at work and how can I find it? Now, there's an organization called the Conference Board, and they're really interesting because they do a study every year, and one of the questions that they ask is, are you happy at work? Now, back in the 80s, 60% or more of people said they were happy at work. But these days, last year was the first time in 11 years that they got to 50%. Now, that's saying something. And what it's saying is that all the changes that have happened really in the past 30 years in the American lifestyle and the American workplace, they're affecting us as workers. We've all been through it. RIF, reorg, company going under. I came into work one time and the company was gone completely. It's not even just us Generation Xers and baby boomers. We got some millennials in the room here, and to be very honest with you, they look at things the same way. When they're getting ready to pick a job, they look at two things that maybe we didn't look at years ago when we were getting our job. They look at work-life balance, and they look at career development. They want to know, I'm giving you my time, what you gonna do for me lately. So, American companies are starting to pay attention to this, and they say, hey, let's look at some numbers and see why they really think this. So 50, we already talked about that, right? 50% of the people hate their job. What do you think 71 might be?
The ones looking for another job?
Might be. You know what it is? 71% are the number of people who Gallup calls disengaged at the job. So that means they just coming and checking in. 260. Anybody want to guess on what 260 might be?
6 days?
You wish. That's the number of days we have to go to work. So out of the 365 days in the year, 260 of them, you wake up, you got to go to the job. Now that's for us good people who get off on the weekends. Then you think about all the people who work in retail and the like. They might not even get 260. So that means 70%, 71% of the days that we get up every year, we got to go to the job. So when things like that came into when I learned about those kinds of things, that's when being happier at work really started to matter to me. And I can tell you it was because of a rift that I went through. And mind you, I've been through a few rifts. I mean, I've been working for over 25 years, so it wasn't critical. But of course, it was concerning. So what happened was I was feeling good. I had come through a really rough time, but I had learned about positive psychology. I started taking classes. I even got my certificate from the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute. Then I started taking more online classes. I really got into this positive psychology, and I ended up writing a book about how I used these tools to get through a personal issue, which was my divorce and a total financial disaster. But I was at a good spot by the time this company came in and bought the company that I was working for. I was speaking, I was on the radio, I was doing workshops, I was influencing women to not be bitter after what they'd been through, but to be better. Then they said, oh, we got a rift coming. Now at work, we had a little bit of a tough time on the team that I was on. We had lost a contract vehicle, our revenue went down. The company that bought us said, you know, y'all ain't quite efficient enough for us. We're getting ready to get rid of some folks. So when the rift time approached, everybody on the team that I was on had a meeting on our calendar on one day, an hour after each one. with our VP and our branch director. So we're not stupid. We've been out for a while. We know. The writing's on the wall. We're getting ready to get riffed. We all start talking. There's some people on some other teams with those meetings on the same day. We ask management, oh, no, it's nothing. It's just some things we need to cover with you guys one by one. We know, writing on the wall. So I'm a little scared because I'm a single mom now, and I have a kid in college and another one in high school getting ready to go to college soon. So I start to worry, and then I say, nope, I'm positive. I'm going to figure this out. And so I spent 3 days working with what I knew was going to be that severance plan to switch my mind around and say, I can do this. I know my finances are in bad shape, but they're getting ready to give me a severance package. I can pay them bills. If I can get a job before that severance runs out, I can even be better off than I am right now financially. So I turned it around in my mind. The day comes, we go to work. The first person goes into the conference room. She's in there about 40 minutes. When she comes out, she has a white envelope in her hand. She goes over to the copier. They got some empty boxes over there. She picks up that box and she goes back to her cubicle. And she's not upset, but you can see it ain't good. The next person, about 20 minutes later, he goes in, he comes out, goes and picks up a box. So I'm the fourth person. There's 4 people on the team. So when the third person comes out, I said, let me go to the bathroom so I can get myself together. Try not to cry, you know. I come back to my desk and I look at my Outlook in my mail and it says cancel. What the what? So I compose myself and I go in the conference room and I say, excuse me, can I just ask a question? Why was my meeting canceled? And they said, oh, we're so sorry we had to put that meeting on your calendar, but we didn't want to throw anybody off. But you're not being riffed. Wow. You're being retained and you're going to do the job of everybody on the team.
Oh, wow.
Literally, my eyes began to well with tears standing right there. First of all, I'm retained. Why couldn't you at least pull me to the side and say, we put it on your calendar, but it really ain't you? Why did I have to be deceived? Why was my happiness at stake so that the company could make everybody think that they weren't getting riffed? So I got played, and I was very upset. I was an unhappy camper that day. I went back to my cube, and I began to type emails. Do you believe this? And then I just lost it. I started crying. My boss came over. She said, maybe you need to go home today. So they sent me home because I was so upset that I had kept my job. That was totally the opposite of what they expected. And literally, it took me 6 weeks of pulling into that garage. And as I pulled in under the building, my eyes would well with tears because I was drinking from a fire hose. I was doing the work of 4 people. The customers were unhappy. Where's my contract? Where's my this? They told me this was going to be that way. I don't have any emails. I have nothing. Nothing but what they gave me on the last day that they left. And mind you, they weren't very motivated to give me a whole lot of information since they no longer had a job.
That's right. Right.
So what happens to me? I'm unhappy. But after I leave there, I'm happy. But I said, I can't live like this. You can't be disjointed like that because it starts tearing you up in the inside. And my children talked about how I was snapping at them again, just like I did when the marriage was breaking up, because I had this disconnect in my life.
Yes.
So I had to learn that 6 weeks in that I needed to figure out how to use those same tools that I used to get over that divorce and to get over that financial disaster at the job. Mm-hmm. But there's a question. It ain't just me at the job. It's all these people, all this other stuff. How is changing me going to change my whole work dynamic? I really wasn't sure. So I went back and did some more work. And I found out those things, the 3 P's of pissivity. These are the 3 things that piss people off at work. Now, Let me tell you a couple of little stories about some people and some processes so you can kind of get an idea. And I'm sure you have the same kinds of stories because we all deal with those folks in the office. Like the man who used to sit 2 cubes away and bring in leftover salmon and broccoli. Oh, yeah, and then warm it up in the microwave and bring it back to the cubicle. Can you sit in the break room maybe and eat that? No, he's got to waft that all the way down the hall for everybody to smell. And then at one of my old jobs, they had a guy named, well, I'm not going to say his name. I'll call him Ray, okay? And because he was not a ray of sunshine. That one of my coworkers said he used to have a little baggie of trouble turds. And he would walk around the office and come to you. Hey, Wilma, how you doing? It's good to see you. Did you know? Yeah, I heard that so-and-so down the hall was trying to work on that same deal. Yeah, you better go check. All he wanted to do was create controversy. That's right, stir it up. Yes, Lord. Then we had those other folks. One of the people in my community who follows me on Facebook, I put up something about how somebody didn't like their job, and she wrote a whole story about one of the managers at her job. 10 days before Christmas, what did she do? She let go a whole team of contract workers because somebody had made her mad, and she was like, I'm getting rid of all of y'all. 10 days before Christmas. And then as they packed and got their stuff, she had no problem walking around the office with her chest out, being happy because she had ruined someone's holiday. That's what I call the Cruella de Vil of the office. You know, who wants to work for her? Then you got those policies. This is one of my favorite ones. I worked for a company, big company, was selling to big government agencies. They had a policy that said, if we make a mistake on your bill, you have 90 days to tell us that we made the mistake in writing. If you don't, you owe us the money. Can you believe that? We had to have a team meeting to establish a policy. If our little people and our little team, so anytime a customer ordered a new product, please catch the bill and check it. Because one time when a customer didn't check their bill, the company told us that we had to tell that customer that $64,000 error on their bill, because they didn't tell us about it until 6 months later, they owed the money. Absolutely. And then they want me to continue to sell some more to him while I'm trying to work on the $64,000 billing problem. Those are the kinds of things that make you upset at your job. The policies, the processes, and then I love this one that someone sent me in saying that their company bought another company and they had to do a weekly load in of all this data. Well, they didn't improve their internet access. So what used to take 20 minutes to load data, now it took 2 hours on Friday. See, that's when you know that somebody in management isn't looking at what is rolling down and what's coming on you. And that's when I ended up calling mine was a hunkin' hot mess of a job. But I had to figure out how to get into it. And so I wondered, what do I have to do so that I can get from here to here? What are my steps? And I looked into the organization because happiness in an organization makes a huge difference. And that's one of the things that organizations are starting to realize now. Everybody knows about Google, right? Yes. Did you know that Google has an executive whose title is Chief Happiness Officer? No. Absolutely. They care about the happiness of their employees. And the reason they care is because they found out that when their employees are happy, that their productivity goes up 31%. Their accuracy on tasks goes up 19%. And the people who are in sales or in nonprofits, folks who are fundraisers, when they are happy, they bring in 37% more revenue. Big difference, huh? That's why organizations care about happiness. But it's not just true for them. It's true for us as people too. Because happiness, and Christy and I were just talking about this, happiness makes you healthier because of the fact that it helps to guard your heart. You don't have all that cortisol, all that stress hormone coming out of your brain. And when you don't, you get healthier. And did you know that happier people, especially people who are happy at their job, do you know how much longer they live than unhappy people?
20 years?
7 to 10 years longer, simply because of the way that they look at things, simply because of their happiness. So people say, Wilma, what is it? You talk about happiness at work, but what is it? And I tell you, there are 4 tools, and I talk about them in the book. The first one is gratitude. The second one is exercise. The third one is kindness. And the fourth one is mindfulness. But the thing about it is I break it down into how do you create a mindful meeting? What are the best practices for people who work in cubicles? How do you create a more productive email? Because how many people have received them emails and you read the whole email and you're still not sure what they want you to do? These workshops can help to alleviate that. And what that does is it creates a better team because we're all working on the same plane. You're thinking the same thing that I am in terms of I should be able to look at the subject line of my email and tell whether I need to have any action, whether it's just information. So these workshops for living happier at work break down those 4 tools into how they really work in everyday things in your life. But I did a conference, just a little 10-minute thing at a book event a few weeks ago. And a lady came up to me and she said, look, my company is not going to bring you in for no workshops. They just don't do workshops. She said, and I haven't read the book, but I want you to tell me, what can I do today that will make me happier at the job tomorrow? And I said, it's easy, but you might not like it. She said, well, what is it? I said, it's gratitude. That is the number one way to supercharge your happiness, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, no matter where it is. But you ask, well, gratitude, when I was in that hunk mess job and had to change my mind, it was not an easy thing to do. But I had no choice. I couldn't leave the job. I wasn't getting a fat severance pay. So I had to stay. I had to figure it out. So there's a motivational gentleman who's passed. His name is Zig Ziglar. You may have heard of him. Zig Ziglar has of course, still thousands of YouTube videos and the like. But when I was in the middle of that, I Googled something and I came up upon his video that talks about a woman who felt the same way. And what he told her was what I did. I said, what is it about my job that I like? Got to be something. What's that 30 or 40%? Well, number one, it pays my bills. Okay? It allows me to be head of household and to take care of my children and pay my son's college tuition. The other thing, I got health insurance. Okay? My son had some health issues. Without that health insurance, I don't know where we would have been. So I had to stop. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It took me about 20 minutes to even make the first thing on the list because I wasn't a happy person about my job. But I made a decision that I needed to find gratitude because that was the key to turning my mind around. And the thing is that once I found that gratitude, I put that little thing up in my bathroom, and every day when I was getting ready to go to work in the morning, I would say to myself, don't be sad about it, be happy that you have it. You know, it's kind of like that little thing where Dr. Zeus says, don't be sad that it happened. Don't be sad that it ended, be happy that it happened, you know. So I said, I got to be happy about this job until I can get it to the point. And that's something that I tell other people, you know, folks who say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm ready to leave my job, I want to be a writer, I want to do this. Be happy that you have the job that's going to give you the platform and the finances and the connections that's going to take you to the next level. Because if you're not grateful about what you already have, you're not going to get any more. That's the thing that happens. So when you're looking to see what is it, it's gratitude. Now, the thing that I find most interesting about gratitude, and I didn't find it out until I really started to use it, and that's the thing about positive psychology. Because it involves your brain and your interaction and your thoughts and your behaviors, you can't fake it. You might be able to fake it to us, but you can't fake it inside. So if you're not really being grateful, then the benefits of gratitude are not going to come to you. So once I really got serious about it and I said, and it was funny because my mother's one of those kind of people who, you have a car accident and you mad because your car got wrecked. And she say, but at least you had insurance and you didn't get hurt. And I'd be like, Mama, I'm mad because my car got wrecked. Right along that line where somebody thought they were doing something for your bad, or you thought the universe was bringing bad stuff to you, but it actually turned out to be something that was beautiful in the end. So that's what gratitude does for you. Gratitude gives you control. Once I had gratitude, they couldn't make me mad at work no more. You don't have that much power over me, boo. I got me now. Okay? Gratitude gives you your power back. So when we get into the workshops, we'll get into it and dig a little deeper. But I hope this has given you a basic understanding of the power of positive psychology and gratitude specifically and what it can do for you.